Let's crank this thing up here on a Monday. It's going to be a crazy week, it seems, in the news, the way things have already started this week. And man, I've had a crazy day myself. Hey, Jay, I just did right before the show one of the stupidest things I think I've ever done. It was just I was in a hurry. I'm having that kind of week because I've got some travel to do this week. Don't worry, I'm on the air, but I got to do some moving. You know how it is before you go anywhere. You got all these little checklists and things to do. So at the last minute, you remember how I got a new iPhone around Christmas? Well, I forgot to turn in my old one, and I got this notice. It was like, you better send this thing back, or we're gonna charge. So I was like, I gotta wipe that old phone. So I'm hurrying for the show. I'm show prepping over here and trying to delete that device, that old device, so I can just use my new phone. And then I didn't realize it till I'd hit the final button. I was deleting my new phone. I wiped out my brand new phone, and so now I got to start all over.
Well, it's so funny because I get a text message from you, and I'm like, who the heck is this? I'm like, oh, you could tell, like, you wiped it out because normally your number pops up and your name.
Oh, did it do something different?
Well, it gave me your email.
Okay, yeah, because my cell phone is down for the moment. And during the course of the first couple of hours of the show, I'll be trying to reset the new phone to my new phone and then go get the old phone and then do that again. I should just do it all live. Y'all want my passwords too?
Oh, man, that's
it's
funny.
insane. We got too much tech in our lives.
It's way too much. It's like, even if you say, oh, I'm going to cut this out, you need it. There's so many times I tell myself, oh, I'm going to cut out social media. I'm going to put my phone down. And then I get to work. It's like, oh, we got to post more on social media, which then reverts me back to getting on social media because I'm like, I'm trying to get away from this thing, but
exactly.
I got to use it.
A couple of years ago, I said, you know what? I got too many little streaming apps. I'm going to cut out most of these. I don't use half of them. I think I have 3 times as many now as I did then because I'll cut them out and then I'll want to watch something. It's like, try now for $5.99 a month. And then it turns into $49.95 a month, and
right.
you got too many of them. So them's the breaks. All right, so let's get going. A little bit of frivolity as we get cranked up. Stock market's way up today. We'll get caught up on some of the financials later. Luckily, for the first time in 2 weeks, we're not talking about any kind of crazy weather. I mean, it's just been 2 straight weeks of us really leading off the show with a lot of weather news, but none of that today, so that's a good news. Just looks like a slight warm-up in the coming days. Now, there's some long-range models that have some more winter punches in the nose, but you can't trust those this far out. So we'll take it. Even this weekend is looking a little bit better. We will stay above freezing. We should stay mostly above freezing tonight and then tomorrow back in the 50s or so. But some rain coming in tomorrow, and that rain means some more warmer weather back behind it. So all that's good news. Let me see what else we can get started with. I think the first thing I want to talk about straight out of the gate is this this Savannah Guthrie's mother story. Sometimes you get bizarre stuff that you don't expect. When I woke up today, I expected to be talking about Iran and talking about ICE and the things that have been in the news. But what a weird and crazy story. And why does a story like this make the news? It's because people know Savannah Guthrie from television. And anytime there's a mysterious what we now know is some kind of criminal situation, it's going to get public attention. And whether you like Savannah Guthrie or not, she's a well-known personality. And I think when people feel like they have a connection to someone that's involved in something, either we're voyeuristic or sympathetic, and it's probably a combination of both. So here's what I think we know as of the last couple of hours. I was actually listening. This morning I was out on the road doing some traveling, listening to Andrew's show, and he carried some of the news conference. I guess that was somewhere around 10 o'clock this morning. And so at first she was reported missing. I believe she's 84 years old. She's not very mobile and not the kind of, in the kind of shape where she would just wander off and get very far, they say. So that's not a problem. I don't see any other reports that she's suffering from dementia. We know from time to time with the elderly relatives, they can just get lost. And I've actually had to cover some cases along those lines. But then the authorities came out today and said that they were investigating this as a crime. This was a crime scene. And they haven't said so far this afternoon, they haven't said much more than that. I'll kind of reboot my news feed here and make sure nothing else has changed. But yeah, we've got crazy situation here where she was either abducted or maybe they have some kind of evidence that there was harm involved. They didn't say why they believed her home was a crime scene. But that could, of course, be a number of things. It could be signs of a struggle. There could be evidence of blood or violence on that scene. And then your mind immediately moves to, well, then why? Why this particular woman? It's just hard to know. I don't know enough about the area in which she lives. Sometimes the elderly can be targets of crime for a number of reasons. Losers that choose a life of crime will often pick on the weakest among us, people that are defenseless, and maybe they just saw an opportunity there or followed her home. Could be anything. Then there are plenty of reporter questions at the news conference and then elsewhere, I'm sure, behind the scenes, asking if this was targeted. And so that would just imply that, well, Savannah Guthrie is a celebrity of note in the news business or in the entertainment business, and perhaps some kind of a weird fandom situation, or I doubt that it's really political, but you never know nowadays. Everything gets turned into politics. But if there's any updates on that case, it's certainly something. If you're of a certain age and you've got I say elderly parents. The older I get, the less that seems elderly. But if you've got parents in their 70s or 80s, especially living alone, like my mom and others of you that have parents that you're always thinking about and worrying about them, this is sort of it's sort of a trite phrase, but it's sort of your worst nightmare as far as them just suddenly not being there. And I can't imagine the heartbreak for Savannah Guthrie's family. So they probably know. I would imagine the family knows a little more than they can tell us. I'm sure the authorities have been forthcoming with them as to what they think happened at present. That shouldn't be for public knowledge because they're either trying to apprehend somebody or recover her mother. Her mother's name is Nancy. We're going to refer to her in the present tense as for now. So, man, what a bizarre day as we get started with that today. And again, I think there's this is in Arizona, so they're a couple of hours behind us. So I believe there's going to be some more reporting on that situation as the day goes on, and we'll continue to keep up with that for you as well. 545-9950 is the phone number if you want to get in on the show for any of this stuff. Man, where do we start from there? So a big domestic story. There was an incident involving ICE here in Alabama earlier today. It seems as if the ICE agent is okay. There was a targeted, I believe this was in the Alabaster area. There was a targeted operation today. You know, and sometimes in those operations, you continue to get people that want to flee or want to resist. And so apparently one of the ICE agents was injured. It was a traffic stop in Alabama this morning. Not much else do we know about that other than it appears the agent is going to be okay. Even in isolated situations where you've got ICE out there operating, you have it's dangerous. It's a dangerous job, like all of policing. When you're stopping bad people, sometimes even on a traffic stop, as my brother used to say this when he was in policing, and others and friends of mine that are in law enforcement will tell you there's no routine traffic stop. These things are always tenuous, and you got to handle them that way. And so even in these targeted stops, if you think about it, in every occasion, the minute that person is pulled over, they understand the consequences that they could be about to be deported. Every person let me say this, every person outside of maybe some small children that are in this country illegally know they're in this country illegally. And they see the news like everybody else, and they know they're subject to deportation. And if they haven't self-deported, well, then they're compounding their trouble, and they're having to try to, I guess, stay in the shadows, for lack of a better term. And so there's always some edginess to every single one of these stops instantly. Sometimes stops just escalate out of control. Somebody's randomly speeding, cop pulls them over. Everything's fine until the person decides they're going to pull a gun or bow up or run or flee or something stupid happens. But in this case, you've got somebody amped up, and I know ICE is aware of this when they roll in, but seems as if for now, I guess a minor incident compared to some of the other things that are in the news today. We've got some new polling today, too. I'll be able to share with you later. It's a really good polling in terms of support for the deportations. Now, we keep seeing, the thing about this poll is we keep seeing repeated polls that show the same thing. And I'll try to do this top of mind. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But we continue to see polls that show support for deportations in general is close to 60% in almost every single poll. Now, to break that down and put it into some context, we're not 60% on anything in this country. Now, there's some issues like men on girls teams that actually are 80-20 style issues. But the polling, even in Minnesota, the reporting in Minnesota and the polling in Minnesota is showing that there is a majority that want the deportations to continue, that actually support what ICE is doing in their state. Two things to glean from that. One, you haven't lost your mind. You're not wrong despite all this Hollywood-style anti-ICE rhetoric. It's a minority of the country that are hateful toward ICE and the government and deportation and our laws that are just lawless and think that some people, because of their feelings, should be above the law. That's not how we do it in a civilized democracy. So we're going to continue with these operations. Most regular people get that. So even in a sort of lefty state like the state of Minnesota and then across the country, we've got pretty substantial polling that shows that folks believe that it's an easy argument to make. The law says they're not supposed to be here, so then they're not supposed to be here. Most of us go about our lives without intentionally breaking the law. Like I say intentionally because every now and then you get your foot on the gas or you miss a red light or you do something you wouldn't have tried to do. Or even if you tried to do, you're outside the law and you're going to get a ticket. But most people get that sense of justice. If we were standing in line, I was thinking about the big game. They won't let us say super. Can we say super? I think somebody owns that, don't they? We have to say big game.
Yeah, well, it is kind of weird because you could talk about it. We're talking about in a news aspect, but
right.
Not talk about it if we're promoting an event.
If we're selling it,
right?
So I ain't selling anything. I'm just commenting on it.
Right.
So the Super Bowl, if you were lined up and paid an exorbitant price for those tickets online, I don't even know what the scalpers are getting for this thing. If you were doing that, and then somebody just cut line or just went right on in without a ticket and got your seat, sat down in your seat, people naturally, your first inclination is that's not right. And people get bowed up. They'll go straight up Karen on you over something as simple as a stupid football game. But this is our country. This is where we live. This is our home. This is our home nation. And there should be some order to it. And most folks still agree with that, which is why I believe Trump has won the presidency 3 times with this as a central issue. And it has not changed. Despite the stagecraft, despite the manufactured violence in the streets, despite all these other circumstances, that polling remains consistent. And I guess that's good news. Now, we'll get into some other electioneering and the politics of a off-year election here in just a little bit. By the way, the government shutdown should be over by tomorrow. That was just one of those things where they kept being clowns, ran out of time, bumped up against the weekend. The Democrats tried to stage. They're trying to appease their nut base by pretending that they're going to get ICE defunded. And they've at least got to show some fight because they know it's not possible in this environment. Look at the polling itself. That alone is going to scare some moderate swing district Democrats away from getting too heavy-handed against ICE as they head into the midterms. And so that was a failed effort, and largely procedurally they'll be able to get something voted out of the House tonight that's compatible with the Senate, and then the president signs it, and we think the government will be reopened by tomorrow. So lots of things going on today. Again, poll numbers, a lot of it politics, some of it weird stuff. You never know. Stuff here at home to deal with the legislature being back in session, and we'll cover some of the legislation that's been proposed here in Alabama. And again, your phone calls with whatever you've got and other breaking news as it comes across. 545-9950 is the phone number. Southern Skies Dermatology, first up here on the show today. Y'all, I really want you to go get checked for skin cancer. It can be in many forms, and most of you know somebody that's had some form of it. And if it's a basal cell or one of these non-lethal forms of cancer, you still have to get a removal done. So in either case, whether you're dealing with melanoma or a basal cell carcinoma, you want to get it removed and all of it removed so you're not dealing with it anymore. And that's the thing about Southern Skies is they do the Mohs procedure, which is the only way I would suggest you have anything removed. It's a micrographic procedure. This is the way I describe it. Not being a doctor, but they remove a micro layer at a time. They check it as they go. And as soon as they know they've gotten all the cancer cells, they can stop taking tissue. So that speeds up the healing. It minimizes any potential scarring. Sometimes these things happen in pretty sensitive areas. And the main thing about that is they know they've gotten it all. So in the old days, it was sort of guesswork that they'd removed all the potential tissue, and they'd have to take out a much larger area to make sure they got it all. And sometimes they didn't, and it could reappear. So Mohs is the way to do it. It's the safe way to do it. And Dr. Mario is a Mohs expert, and Southern Skies only focuses on skin cancer. This is their focus, and that's where you need to go for your screenings. SouthernSkiesDermatology.com, SouthernSkiesDermatology.com. All right, get back in here. Leland Live, Talk 99.5, Axiom Tax Resolution Group. Next up on the show, they are, of course, that's my good friend Perry Cronin, and he is a friend. He's such a smart guy. I learn so much when I hear him talk about how easy it is to get into one of these situations with the IRS. And I know sometimes there's a little bit of guilt, maybe some shame involved when the IRS is stalking you. You're a good person. You work hard. You try to do things right. The tax code just will overwhelm you sometimes. And you shouldn't feel that way. You'd be surprised at the people that suddenly owe a tax debt they didn't count on, and then you're just buried by it. Don't be buried by it. Work with Axiom, and they've got programs to help you get settled. Now, this isn't something that's going to trash your credit report or hurt you financially in those ways. It's really there for relief. Congress years ago set up laws to give taxpayers some relief if they're overwhelmed, and to stop the IRS from just running you over and trying to seize everything you own. It's just not fair. So y'all let Perry help. There's not a person in this country, and I mean this, that knows more about settling with the IRS and what programs to use, like the Fresh Start Initiative or other ideas and laws, than Perry. You've got a lot of companies with big national firms and 800 numbers that do referrals. I'm referring you to somebody local that can sit down with you in person, and he's an absolute expert. Y'all, it's Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. Y'all His phone number is 872-1100. Of course, that's a local number. But go see Perry. Sit down with Perry. Here we are right in the middle of another tax season. Some of you are getting your paperwork together now, and make sure you are ready to go with Axiom Tax Resolution Group. All right, real quick, AJ, I got to say this. I just squirreled my own self. So here in the studio, I've got monitors like most studios out in front of me so I can keep up with the news and whatnot. So, AJ, there's this huge monitor, and then in front of that monitor is one of my cameras, which I think just wigged out on me. I don't know what it's doing.
It just it literally just moved. I saw it like center you as you were talking.
I think it's on autofocus, so it's trying to follow me because I'm moving. I put my hands out front. That's what it was, and it got weird. I noticed that green light went off. But there's a bracket that the camera's mounted on, and when this bracket is lined up with the TV monitor that's behind it, when Fox News puts Foxes on that monitor, when they put certain people on the screen in those boxes, it looks like they're wearing a Batman mask. I'm just saying. I just looked up, and this guy was talking. He looked like he had on a mask, and it was my bracket covering his face. He looked like the Batman. I'm going to have to cut that bracket off or something. That's weird. That's just totally weird. All right. We're going to get into the Super Bowl halftime show in a minute. There's an alternative show that's going to happen during halftime. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. I got the lineup. Should be interesting. But right now we already got calls in early for a Monday. Let's do this thing, man. I love it. 545-9950 if you want on the show. Terry is in Bibb County, line 4 to get us started here on a Monday. What's up, Terry?
Hey, Leland, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your conservative voice and pushing that. And we need more of it. But my concern, this is just the bottom line, studying this in the last few months, and I hope I'm totally wrong. I just do not think the Republicans, a small percentage, maybe a dozen, they do not have any fight in them. They don't have any grit. And I'm afraid that, of course, the Democrats, they will fight, and they will lie, and they will scratch for everything. And I'm afraid we're going to lose the midterms, and I hope I am totally wrong.
Well, here's what I think you hit on, Terry. If the Republicans lose the midterms, now history's going against them, and right now, until the new census comes out, the Democrats still have the advantage they built by putting illegal people in the census, giving them some extra seats in Congress, and that won't change till after 2030. So they've got a statistical advantage and a historical advantage, but they're in a mess everywhere else. But if the Republicans lose, it's going to be for what you just described. Their own base doesn't believe that they're serious about moving forward and taking on difficult things and quote, fighting. The fighting is one of the most overused words in politics, but you're right. Some do, some don't, but collectively, no, they don't have the same kind of spirit of tenacity that the Democrats do. They really don't. So, yeah, and I think that'll be the thing that does them in the midterms is not that the Democrats show up in overwhelming force because they're demoralized right now too, but the Republican base is really, really put out with these people, and the first thing people tend to want to do is just not vote. You throw your hands up and you go, I'm just not voting. And I hate that because we need a massive turnout to overcome history in the midterms.
Well, I appreciate you, Leland. You keep up the good work. Tell AJ to hang in there. I know he's doing the best to keep you straight, but he's got a hard job right there.
He does. It's been 16 years. He just mostly ignores me now. He doesn't even try. All right, thanks, Terry.
Hey, thank you again for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, buddy. Y'all, man, lighting up the phones right out of the gate here on a Monday. Shannon is up next talking about the lottery. What's up, Shannon?
Hey, Leland, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Awesome. I want to pivot to state politics for a moment. I'm in my car, so forgive me if it's noisy. I know Doug Jones is running. I don't know. I've been doing some research on the Alabama Education Lottery. He says he's for it. My question is I know Tommy Tuberville in research says that he's taken money from Porch Creek PAC money. I know they have upped their budget to, I think, $3.5 million this year for this election cycle. I guess my question is I'm trying to garner support from the legislators and senators to get a sponsor for a standalone education lottery bill. Do you have any recommendations on who, would be a good start to call on?
Man, that is such a deep question. It shouldn't be a deep question. I'll give you a simplistic answer because we're short, and I'll talk more about it maybe after the break. It is a popular thing. If you polled Alabamians, most people would love to see them just put what was called a clean lottery bill on the ballot, so we could just vote it up or down. But they won't, because the gambling interests control the legislature and they're competing gambling interests. There's the Mississippi casinos. There's some Alabama Indian tribes. There's some traditional casino owners. And it's the casino owners that hire lobbyists. It's the gambling interests that have the professional representation walking the halls. There's not a group that's got a pile of money they can give to these people with their own lobbyists walking around lobbying for a clean lottery bill. It's just a bunch of people. It's just regular citizens that would rather not have it complicated. And as long as there's a chance that gambling money is going to get eaten into by a clean lottery, the gambling interest will not let that happen. I don't care if it's Doug Jones or Tommy Tuberville, the governor, doesn't matter. These people will gum it up because they control enough of the legislature to gum it up, and they're never going to let a clean lottery bill get on the ballot. And these guys down there don't have the balls to do it. So there's that.
Yeah, it's so discouraging because 70% of students.
Hey, we'll talk on the other side.